calls with me. It's always these people drag it out till Friday, and everybody wants to do something Friday when everybody's about to close, like that Cheryl lady. And here's the thing, it's always hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. Well, a lot happens while we're waiting. And I'm expected to remember a lot of people's names. Now, what we're going to look for here is Warrenton, Oregon, non-emergency number. All right. Well, I guess we'll call this number Warrenton, Oregon PD. All right, let's do this. Now, it also tells me my history of when I've called them on this phone. This one right here says July 7th, outgoing call. 2 minutes, 33 seconds. They usually don't last long.
Welcome to the Warrenton Police Department. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. If you want to start a police report for an incident that is not in progress, we encourage you to go to the City of Warrenton website under the I Want To section and click Start a Police Report online. If you'd like to speak to an on-duty officer or report an incident to the dispatch center, press 1. If you'd like to speak to the municipal court clerk, Valerie Carlson, or check your fine balance, press 2. If you'd like to speak to the police clerk and evidence clerk, Catherine Stevens, press 3. If you'd like to speak to Chief Matthew Workman, press 4. If you'd like... Hi, this is Chief Matthew Workman. I'm unable to take your call or I am out of the office. Please leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, simply hang up or press pound for further options.
Hello, Chief. There's an issue with First Steps as well as one of your your officers now. As well as dispatch, being threatened, harassed, and intimidated for trying to turn in crimes that were committed against me. That's just not okay. The intimidation tactics and the trying to paint me as somebody who's a troublemaker, that's not okay. I don't do drugs. I'm trying to get help stopping abuse. These first responders, they need to stop talking over me and throwing me in the direction of mental health. A lot of crimes are committed against me, and it's not okay for your officers to hide behind a bunch of women who are hiding behind your officers. This is not acceptable, sir. When I tried to turn in Officer Holloway for the incident on the 5th, well, your officers were definitely not helpful. Matter of fact, they were threatening and harassing, and also, so is the dispatch. They created a safety issue for me that does need to be taken care of. My name is Sean David Schwartz. You're aware of who I am. You had a city manager's meeting, and you spoke about me at the city manager's meeting. Now, there's an awful lot of table talk in this town about me, and I have spoken with quite a few people and recorded the conversations that show this. This is collusion. This is not okay. This is corruption, which is also not okay. This is taking advantage of at-risk adults, and this is also not okay. What your officers have done since the 5th, every time that I've tried to go through and go to the superior officers, they've refused to call back or threatened, harassed, and intimidated me when they showed up. What I need is a piece of paper and a place to write on that piece of paper what your officers have done. I've got evidence all over YouTube. I've got a bunch of evidence that is not online because I am a nice guy and I don't want to expose everybody's name. Some of these people.
You have reached the maximum time allowed to make your recording. To review, re-record, or add to your message, press 1. To mark your message urgent, press 2. To mark your message private, press marked urgent. To review, re-record, or add to your message, press 1.
Now we're going to have to call this number a total of 3 times right now because I have to give them the second half of that. Obviously, I'm overwhelmed in having to make these calls alone. I also have to call back and try to get a hold of the clerk to get the information. But I'm going to let him know what information I am seeking so that he is aware. Would this be considered collusion with the enemy? Well, I'd like for him to not be my enemy. I would like him to put his officers in check.
Welcome to the Warrenton Police Department. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. If you want to start a police report for an incident that is not in progress, we encourage you to go to the City of Warrenton website under the I Want To section and click Start a Police Report online. If you'd like to speak to an on-duty officer or report an incident to the dispatch center, press 1. If you'd like to speak to the municipal court clerk, Valerie Carlson, or check your fine balance, press 2. If you'd like to speak to the police clerk and evidence clerk, Catherine Stevens, press 3. If you'd like to speak to Chief Matthew Workman, press 4. If you'd like to... Hi, this is Chief Matthew Workman. I'm unable to take your call or I am out of the office. Please leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, simply hang up or press pound for further options.
On the 5th, while I was over at First Steps, Oregon, Officer Holloway came in and made some false allegations. I want his body cameras. I want to know how much they cost to get those body cameras. There's also multiple other officers I've had to call in situations, and when I called those officers, they showed up with an attitude. When I tell an officer that I'm trying to turn in their fellow officers, and I'm told that somebody is going to call me back, and it is over a week, and still nobody calls me back. And the people who do show up to threaten me or harass me or to berate me or to talk over me with their own false narrative. That is never okay. And now to hear that you guys are having city manager meetings or you guys are having table talk, well, you guys go ahead and do your table talk. I need the recordings from that city manager's meeting now. I've spoken with multiple witnesses. I've recorded those conversations with multiple witnesses. I've got at least a dozen people from this town alone talking about how afraid they are of your department, of how corrupt it is. So, when your officers came out, they didn't send a superior officer out like they should have. No, they claimed that they were going to have one call me. How am I going to make an actual written report about your officers and the crimes that they've committed if your officers are only willing to do stuff over the phone and they're not going to do it with a superior officer? They're not going to get me in contact with a superior officer. They claim that they will and they never get back a hold of me. And then I'm told that the sheriff and the police chief, both of you, will not take reports. You will not investigate. You absolutely refuse. That prevents me from taking the next step to get you guys put away. I literally have to go to my predators. This is like taking...
You have reached the maximum time allowed to make your recording. To review, re-record, or add to your message, press 1. To mark your message urgent, press 2. To mark your message marked urgent. To review, re-record, or add to your message, press 1.
No, that's good. I got one more piece to go. I got to make sure that I say everything that I possibly can.
Welcome to the Warrenton Police Department. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. If you Hi, this is Chief Matthew Workman. I'm unable to take your call or I am out of the office. Please leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, simply hang up or press pound for further options.
All right, so me trying to turn in your officer as well as the situation at First Steps has resulted in retaliation against me, repeated retaliation by your officers. I should have been able to safely go in and write a report at your office and have it turned in safely about that Officer Holloway and what he did. I should have been able to safely go in there and do that. I was at the purple building there, the autism place, to try to get help safely turning that in. Safely turning in things exactly like that. And what your officer did was inappropriate, and I have been prevented from turning him in since. I've tried to go over your heads, but until you check it off, nobody else is going to listen to me. So you need to coordinate with me to take a look at the evidence. And that includes getting me the body cameras. My name is Sean David Schwartz, and this is never okay. All of this abuse over Natalie Marie Bollinger, it needs to stop. The number of times that I've been threatened and harassed since I got to this town is definitely not acceptable. And your officers, they are not to be coming out and harassing me and threatening me and making up false scenarios, but not investigating or looking at any evidence just so they can pretend like I'm some sort of a troublemaker. This is not okay. They act like children. This is collusion, it's table talk, it is corruption, and it's not okay. There are a lot of laws that have been broken by your officers, and I'm not allowed to go over your head until you get involved.
You have reached the maximum time allowed to make your recording. To review,
Press number 2.
re-record, or add to your marked urgent. To review, re-record, or add to your message, press 1. To unmark your message.
No, that's good. He's already got my number. They've all got my number. Every one of them has my number. Now we have to call that number again, but this time we're not calling to talk to him.
Welcome to the Warrenton Police Department. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. If you want to start a police report for an incident that is not in progress, we encourage you to go to the City of Warrenton website under the I Want To section
Only I had such
and click
easy access.
Start a Police Report Online. If you'd like to speak to an on-duty officer or report an incident to the dispatch center, press 1. If you'd like to speak to the municipal court clerk, Valerie Carlson, or check your fine balance, press 2.
Warrenton Dispatch.
Hello, I needed to find out some information real quick. I need to find out what the procedure is for turning in your police officers on paper.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. What is it that you needed to report?
I needed to turn in your officers, but I needed to make a written report and make sure that it got to a supervisor so that the officers don't do what they did before.
Okay, you would have to contact the supervisors at the Warrenton Police Department.
I have already done that. I've already attempted that, and I have been harassed and threatened and retaliated against by officers for attempting to do so.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what other options you have other than to contact maybe the police chief on Monday.
Well, that's the thing, is that I've been attempting that. I just left 3 messages for him, so he is aware. The other thing I was asking about is the city manager's meeting. How do I get the transcripts from that and the recordings from the city manager's meeting?
I'm not sure. This is just the regional dispatch center. You're going to have to contact the city of Warrenton City Hall on Monday.
Yes, ma'am. Also, if I have to turn in dispatch, who do I turn them into?
You can turn them into the Astoria Police Department, okay? I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the line now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, maybe she'll disconnect the line. Maybe she won't. Waiting on her to disconnect it. It usually gives me a notification when they do. Now, to those of you watching right now, the thing is that it's the weekend, right? They always postpone it till the weekend. If someone comes and meets me, they're going to inevitably, nearly always, want to meet me on Friday at 3:30 and their business closes at 4. Or they want to meet me at 4:30 and the business closes at 5. Or, I'm sorry, it's Friday, it's the weekend coming up. Well, I'm well aware. Why did you waste my time all week long? It's difficult. You not see the conditions I'm living in. That housing lady saw the conditions that I am living in. I'm not sure if you see the conditions that I'm living in. There's 15 bags of evidence in there. The thing about the weekend is that, you know what? When the police have made a safety issue for you, it doesn't matter if it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Yeah. So what time is it now? Looks like it's 8:50. Library opens at 10. Now that lady, you got to hear at the very end how her attitude got very crappy. At the very beginning, I was fairly certain I was fairly clear about what was going on, and of course, she didn't understand that. Then she wants to tell me to go the route that I've already gone. I've already attempted more than once. Life is good, ain't it? No. I suppose, though, since we made this call, we should listen to Claire Jordan and her experience with these people. We've got some recordings from her about helping hands as well. By the way, she was victimized one end of this state to the other. Colorado ain't been any better.
So I'm in my car. Hang on a second. I'm in one of the canyons, so I just have to get all the way back up to Estes where I work. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely understand those situations, and I'd love to testify about it because I had so many situations where basically, like, it's like the Stanford prison experiment on a massive scale out there. It's fucking disgusting. People drive people to madness over, like, power and control. Like, they really get a kick out of controlling the homeless population out there, but then they don't actually want to do anything about it, and so they just push people until they break. And then when they break, they're like, oh, see, this is why you can't function in society. It's like, oh, okay, so you're going to torture me for 4 months, use all my resources, send me in endless loops to go check out other resources, other places, until I less than I started with, take away every basic necessity of living and comfort. Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs, man. Like, no shelter, no food. People are going to lose their shit. And you start treating people like they have less than animal rights, you're going to end up with a lot of people that are basically gone feral, and now you're cornering them and threatening them. Of course they're going to fight back. That's not a mental health problem. That's torture.
Yeah, another issue we have is the weather, the elements. I can't roll down my windows. It's real hot in here, real hot. When it's hot out and they have a heat wave, we're stuck out here.
My problem was that the state that my ex left me in, and his, landlord or whatever, I couldn't quite form proper sentences, and I kept having heat stroke, so I'm really not even sure if the words that I thought I was saying were the words coming out of my mouth. And I can't tell because no one cared to pay attention enough. So I could have, I thought I was saying stuff like, I need an ice pack before I have a seizure, I need water, I'm having heat stroke, and I need help. And I would say that over and over and over, and they'd be like, ma'am, you need to calm down or I'm calling the cops. And then they would stare at me with, a weirdly smug smile, like, what are you even saying? And it's really disturbing because some of these, emergency workers and mandatory reporters are supposed to be trained to see something like that. This basic shit, like how to recognize a stroke, or, somebody having a health crisis, not a mental crisis, or, somebody starts speaking gibberish and half their face isn't moving. Maybe you should get them to the fucking ER instead of laughing at them and being like, well, if you don't want my help, I'm out of here, which is what happened to me in Vancouver, Washington in a fucking parking ride.
Woohoo, right?
My problem was that I absolutely know that I had brain damage from multiple rounds of heat stroke because people were denying even so much as water to people that looked homeless. And that's insane. There's states where that's illegal to deny somebody a glass of water. And so it just kind of blew my fucking mind that people were just torturing the homeless population to the point where they break, and then just modifying their own memory, I guess. Oh, they were always like that. See, that's why we don't help you. It's yeah, but, you could go 4 fucking months holding your shit together and functioning like a normal person, politely trying to seek out resources for, not to be homeless, and, living in a hotel or whatever, and then if you're acting well put together, then they act like you must just be lazy or trying to calm them, and so they don't want to help you because you're not in crisis enough. And then when you finally hit crisis enough, they call the police because now you're just acting crazy, or, here in Colorado, I was told that I was going to get some help. I got all the paperwork they asked for. I showed up. I made, promises at the hotel that I was staying at that they were going to get a payment from this local resource. And I show up an hour before I'm supposed to have this all done, with one last piece of paper that they asked for. And suddenly they had changed their mind and decided that they had things that they thought were a better idea for my family, except for they didn't. The things that they suggested were so overly complicated and worse, and would make things worse for me and my children, and that it was mind-blowing. And so then I spent 45 minutes
All right, I'm going to tell you, nationwide, this is how it is. When you're homeless, you're not a person. I don't know how many times it's been down to the last minute. I had to wait for some professional to do their job, and at the last minute, they changed their minds. I'm like, this is what I'm legally required to do, lady. I am legally required to do these things. This is the steps I'm supposed to take in order to jump through these hoops and turn in these predators, and you are by law supposed to help me with it, and you are refusing to do your legally mandated and obligated job. This is your duty. They did the same thing to Claire. Gaslighting to the max. People threatening to shoot her in the head in front of her kids. Is that okay? Is it acceptable? I already know their tactics. If it's just you, corruption is abound because they know nobody cares. No other homeless person's going to grow the balls to stick up for you. They're just going to complain nobody sticks up for them. Well, Claire's a badass, and she's got kids, and I am on her side. I don't agree with everything that she did, but I do understand, and I support it. I don't agree with it, but I do support it. See, that's the thing. Yeah, she screwed me over. But she had her kids in her mind first and foremost. And after royally getting the shaft here, you're damn right. She went and got her kids back. Hell yes. I've recorded multiple recordings in Tillamook that verify the things that she said. Not just the things that she said, but verifying that it's not just her going through it. That the Medicare and Medicaid fraud being committed by Tillamook County, it's costing you guys literally millions of dollars a year. And these people are still homeless. You want disabled people to work for chump change for a bunch of crooks who are hurting us and ignoring the laws. One of the things that was done to Claire many times is where they changed it at the last minute. Tamara from Region 1 was supposed to help me. Well, they didn't care to help me and to do their jobs as mandated reporters. They weren't going to do anything at all unless their paperwork was filled out. So their paperwork got filled out for Region 1. Then I was pushed to go to Colorado because there's supposed to be help along the Front Range. Well, then I was in the wrong jurisdiction too. I'm always in the wrong jurisdiction. Wherever they send me, it's always the wrong jurisdiction. But these officers, they can work with other jurisdictions and other peoples, other city managers to make your life a living hell. That, thank goodness, Josh, the manager of the library here, informed us of it. And being as I have my phone back now, I was able to record that live on YouTube for our safety. The thing is, I have to adjust my entire life, and I have to cut myself off from resources so that nutty people like that who want to play victim, people like Ashley and Brandy from First Steps, want to play victim and go slandering my name and, oh, poor me, after she committed a crime. Same thing with Jen Beebe. After, 17 months that I'd been going to Jen Beebe and she was supposed to help with this, she tells me that it's not her job. Well, wouldn't it have been nice if she'd have said that, I don't know, 17 months earlier to the police? When it comes to mandated reporters, once they realize that police have been involved, they want to dip out and go hide because they don't want to be targeted. Caitlin Tatum didn't want to be targeted. She didn't want to lose her job. How many mandated reporters refused to do their jobs because they didn't want to do their jobs? Well, for some of them it might be laziness. For others it's protecting their friends from their friends' wrongdoing. Oh, this officer made one mistake. He shouldn't lose his job and go to prison because he made one mistake over some filthy hobo, right? Well, people are dead, and it's not just one filthy hobo. What do when they don't get their way? Run around and table talk, slander your name, and collaborate with other predators. Same way that Scott DaCosta collaborated with the Nebraska state troopers to assault me for trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, Sheriff Scott DaCosta. He collaborated with Garden County Sheriff Michelle Quinn. By the way, Michelle Quinn beat the hell out of her girlfriend. Nebraska State Patrol is the ones who investigated it. Then there's Polly Olson, Dual County Clerk. She was arrested too. She was stealing money from the people of Dual County. Like I told you all she was doing. That's right, I spoke up first and I saved evidence that I spoke up first. My public pretenders just repeatedly wouldn't show up when I had court. Why did I have court? Because I did desperate things over abuse, including neglect. I jumped through all these hoops to try to get this help, and I've been robbed of every bit of financial anything that I got from it because of slander that I have never, ever been allowed to defend myself against. Slander that they write down on paper and it destroys your entire life. Oh, you go, oh, well, once you have this disability stuff on paper, then magically everything is better, and if people assault you, then the cops have to do something. There's a caseworker assigned to you, and if there's a problem, you can call your caseworker and say, hey, there's a problem. Well, hey, guess what? There's a problem, because that's not the way it works. My public pretenders would stretch it out until they could no longer get the discovery. Discovery is a part of, these legal operations. After a certain amount of time, they're not allowed to get that discovery. And when your public pretender is a lazy POS who just wants to, every time you tell them, hey, I need you to actually pay attention to what I'm saying, and I need you to actually do your job, and they say things like, well, I can't do it for everybody because I have an overwhelming caseload. Well, that's not my fault. You need to tell the judge that instead of taking advantage of homeless people because you're lazy. But then again, that's not why they're doing it. It's a racket. All these counties are paying upper middle class people who were dressed like hobos that they screwed up with. Because this is standard procedure for homeless people. But you treat somebody in a house like that, oh yeah, they'll come after you in court. They're allowed. You already know once somebody is made homeless, they no longer matter. Always at the last minute too, these people do these things. Last minute. Oh, we'll do it on Friday at 3:30. We'll make sure that we do it when he has no friends or family around. We'll make sure that we do it only at an inappropriate time. We will make sure that Sean Schwartz has to talk about rape and murder in inappropriate places. But then again, you say that we don't get social cues. We absolutely do. We also understand that you're all liars, and we have to say what we got to say, whether you liars want to hear it or not. Now, there's multiple situations, and I must call them altercations because those policemen out there with ill will and ill intent, and their behaviors show as much. Acting like children because they don't want to hear it. What I need to be able to do is not only make a police report, but have a copy of it. So if they throw it away, there's evidence of it. Do you understanding what I'm telling you? Sorry, I was about to trip over something and my words didn't come out perfectly there. What are the chances someone's going to pretend like I'm some sort of a nut job because of that? Well, it's frequent and often that they do. Once you start playing victim, matter of fact, once you start playing stupid, which every one of y'all does it, you play stupid. What help would a woman need? Oh yeah, I'm not a woman, so I don't matter. You'll just talk over me. You're sexist. I'm still disabled no matter what my gender is. And you assigning all of the hateful, horrible things that people have done to you to somebody who never did those things to you is horrible. On the bright side, there are people who I gave a tiny taste of what I go through everywhere I go. A tiny taste. And they didn't like it. They acted in exactly the manner that you guys tell me is inappropriate. What's the difference between them and I? Well, for starters, like Claire was saying, we have to take more abuse. We know we have to take more abuse. We have to fight 100 times harder to get anything out of life. And you guys want to judge us as if we're lazy because we don't have the resources that you have. We didn't start off with the resources that you got. A lot of the important letters that I got, they were post-dated for after the appointment that I had. And then I was denied services because I didn't go to appointments. Or how about with Region 1? They wanted to cancel me from the program because out of 5 missed appointments, see, that's what they wanted to say. They were canceling me because I missed 5 appointments. I didn't. I only missed 1. All the other times it was them missing it. But did they write that down? No, of course they didn't. When they were wanting to cancel me from that program, that wasn't okay. That was before Natalie died. Then Tamara quit her job. Now when Jen Beebe took over the job, see, by the time Jen Beebe quit there, I'd been involved with Region 1 for over a year and a half. And then there's a situation with the company that replaced them. Much like with Clearview Behavioral Health. Same building, a few different staff, but it's the same exact building doing exactly the same thing that Region 1 did. And I'm trying to remember the name of them. It's not Carriage House, it's Cirrus House. That's what it is. Marcia Estrada, she's a licensed independent mental health professional there. She's licensed to diagnose schizophrenia. She's also the only person who saw me long enough to decide whether I am or not. And she states outright that I'm not. That doesn't matter, though, because she was wanting to hide like a rat. She was pissed off because her name was on that piece of paper that she sent me. I'm like, hey, I told you. I'm not hiding anything. Not for any of you. I'm not the only victim, neither is Claire. I got that stuff from my clandestine audio recording device downloaded onto my computer. I got my computer updated. Josh at the library here, he at least let me know that on Wednesday there's something going on where them people from First Steps are going to be there with like 17 kids. Of course, I'm going to go somewhere else. Of course, I don't want to be there. And you know what? That's the responsible thing to do right there. Josh is making it so it's easy for me to avoid the complications. That lady wants to pretend like I might hurt her or other people. She's playing victim. And people are literally harming me for it. Because she broke the law. Because Officer Holloway broke the law. Because his superiors broke the law. And because I spoke out. See, when she's talking about the last minute thing, that happens a lot. The help that you're supposed to have, and at the last minute they'll tell you, oh, well, we're going to do something completely different that is against your best interest. Hold on a second. I came here because I have a bunch of obligations that I'm legally supposed to jump through in order to get the help I need. And I'm sent to you to jump through those hoops. And you're going to go out of your way to create a scenario whereby my safety is going to be a continual issue because you're going to procrastinate. The law requires these people to do something right away. But by calling me mentally ill and pretending that I'm on drugs, they don't have to do anything because nobody else cares. That's one of the little loopholes in the law. This is why disabled and at-risk adults need a friend or family member. That loophole is credible. So all they have to do is destroy your name by calling you mentally ill, and then they don't have to do their jobs, their legally mandated jobs for a quote-unquote mentally ill person, because they've discredited you by calling you mentally ill and inferring that you are a violent schizophrenic. That is very specifically what that means to the law. It means that they can hurt you without remorse, without consequence. And if you try to turn them into their superiors, that's paramount to sending a rape victim to their rapist to have their rapist investigate. That's not okay. By any means, any stretch of the imagination. Now let's play some more of this from Claire.
I absolutely know that I have brain damage from multiple rounds of heat stroke because people were denying even so much as water to people that looked homeless. And that's insane. There's states where that's illegal to deny somebody a glass of water. And so it just kind of blew my fucking mind that people were just like torturing the homeless population to the point where they break and then like, you know, just modifying their own memory, I guess. Like, oh, they were always like that. See, that's why we don't help you. It's like, yeah, but, you know, you spent 4 fucking months holding your shit together and functioning like a normal person, politely trying to seek out resources for, you know, not to be homeless and, you know, living in a hotel or whatever. And then if you're acting well put together, then they act like you must just be lazy or trying to con them. And so they don't want to help you because you're not in crisis enough. And then when you finally hit crisis enough, they call the police because now you're just acting crazy or, you know, like here in Colorado, I was told that I was going to get some help. I got all the paperwork they asked for. I showed up. I made, you know, promises at the hotel that I was staying at that they were going to get a payment from this local resource. And I show up like an hour before I'm supposed to have this all done, you know, with one last piece of paper that they asked for. And suddenly they had changed their mind and decided that they had things that they thought were a better idea for my family, except that they didn't. The things that they suggested were so overly complicated and worse, and would make things worse for me and my children, and that it was mind-blowing. And so then I spent 45 minutes.
That paperwork thing. I'm being denied the right to even do the paperwork. Denied access to the resources to do it. Denied the time with any resources to do it, and being forced to spend many, many resources that should be going to making sure that I have a roof over my head, and I can't do that because of all of these paper obligations. Should a person have to go through this much abuse to try to turn in crimes committed against them? The fact is, the sheriff here is guilty of collaboration with other predators in this town, including that man in the red Honda Passport, including the officers who came to harass me on multiple occasions. And why they harassed me. The same thing happened in Tillamook, where officers wanted to show up and make as big of a scene as they could, but not do a goddamn thing to investigate. Because we're not humans to you. Yes, it is their job, but they're not going to do it for a homeless person. Why would they waste money on a homeless person? We make them a lot of cash. All they have to do is ignore everything that's being done to us, pretend that it's not happening until we have a mental breakdown. And then they come and arrest us for having a mental breakdown. Or they push us to commit suicide at an alarming rate. Homeless people are tough. We have to be. But also, you should never back a honey badger into a corner, should you? Is it smart to back a grizzly bear into a corner? Now, we can hear attitude in these officers' voices, but we're going to listen to Claire some more because she is important. See, these people do coordinate across multiple jurisdictions. Sending me to Astoria. I got to go to Astoria Police Department now to turn in the crimes committed. But are they gonna do anything? I'm told to call right away, especially if it puts my life at risk, and it does put my life at risk. Are they going to do anything about any of these people that harass me? Yeah, they're going to help them get away, as they always do. When you're homeless, you don't matter unless someone else cares, and you don't care. Is that my decision or yours? See, the police wait. They wait to see if they're going to get a slap on the wrist for a little thing. And if that doesn't happen, then they go to much bigger things. Just like any predator, the more you allow them to get away with it, the more brazen they get. They just want to have you run around in the housing thing. No matter how many times you fill out housing, that's all they push. With the paperwork with Jen Beebe. See, that's one of the things they wanted to use as an excuse to can me, is that I couldn't even go there to do the paperwork. And she didn't answer her phone. They didn't make any attempt to coordinate with me for over 6 months. I had housing that whole time. Where were they? They were court ordered to do that job and refused. Over and over and over again. After 18 months of her not doing her job, and me dumped off because the paperwork she was supposed to help me with, she never helped me with. The paperwork that I had to fill out to get started there, I had to fill it out 4 different times. They kept on dropping me off and dumping me off because of what the law did to harm me. Because I missed appointments, then now I have to go back and fill out that paperwork again. These are supposed to be mandated reporters. They're supposed to help me stop abuse. What did they do? Therapy appointment after therapy appointment after therapy appointment. They got paid for all of it. Meanwhile, what was the end result of Nicole Peralta and Jen Beebe not doing their jobs? What was the end result of Nicole Peralta and Tamara and Ashley not doing their jobs before Natalie Bollinger was killed? Natalie's death and all the rest of this abuse. And then they want to tell me I have to get a subpoena to get them to court. Yeah, I kind of expected that. Clearview, same building, same staff even. They changed the name to Johnstown Behavioral Health, and they're having the same problems. Changing the name Region 1 to something else. Same building, though. Couple of different people. Marcia Estrada and Penny Cooper. Penny Cooper absolutely was not going to do her job. You guys sending us around to mental health when we're abused. Why are we being sent to mental health to begin with? Why is it that cops are talking over us and sending us to mental health? They need to do their jobs instead of talking over us and victimizing the living shit out of us. And you can see that by their line of questioning. I got paperwork in the back here. My safety issues in this town have been compounded by the fact that these police officers don't want to do their jobs and they think it's okay to bully me. No, they're all cowards. Warrenton is full of nasty people. Sure, there are nice people, but there are no good people. Josh at the library, full disclosure, he said. All right, good, full disclosure. If only everyone was like that. Let's play some more here from Claire. She didn't have to deal with the stuff in Nebraska, but she definitely had to deal with it here and in Colorado, Washington State.
"45 minutes talking to this director about it and hammering out the details, and then finally coming back around again to the point where it was like, oh yeah, just how it's all about."
I can tell them, look, when the people there at TCCHC realized that they'd gotten busted and they were in deep doo-doo, what'd they do? They called the cops that I was trying to turn in and had the cops come and harass me. The same tactic that they use here, the same one they use in Nebraska, the same one they use in Colorado. You try to tell on your predators coordinate to harm you. And when you're homeless, all police are predators. All mandated reporters are predators because they will not do their jobs for a homeless person. They will help your predators rob you of money, rob you of funds, rob you of time, and rob you of your sanity. The day that the people there at TCCHC were supposedly going to get a hold of those people and try to get me a hotel room voucher for a week. No, instead the police cut me off from that and they cut me off from it. Obviously they would. I told on them for the crimes they committed. I also recorded them. I also paid attention to the laws and to the posted bulletins. You don't get to kill my friends and get away with it. That's just not going to happen. When your complacency and laziness results in infinite quantities of abuse against the most at-risk people in America, I want your badge. That's what I'm after, son.
Sure, it'd actually be the best thing. And this lady jumps in. She's like, okay, well, I still take that my because it's better, and that's what we're going to go with. And I had a...
Now, let's say you've got one day to get this paperwork turned in. You've been working with Jen, trying to work with Jen, baby. She won't stop talking over you. And then the day before you got to turn it in, mind you, this also happened with Penny Cooper. This also happened with Tamara, but that's because she quit. The day before you're supposed to turn in that paperwork, and they're supposed to help you. They're supposed to help you. But they don't, and you have to go in alone. And it's been weeks and weeks and weeks that you fought hard, jumping through every hoop that these people at these mental health places told you. If you jump through these 6 months of hoops, they're going to help you. You can finally turn in your predators after 6 months of jumping through hoops. Well, by law, you were supposed to do something about it immediately. Something about the abuse, not changing the topic to housing every time. And when I had housing, ignoring me outright because everything must be fine because I'm living in government housing, where the rules and stipulations prevent me from being able to take care of myself. And maybe you should look at those. Maybe you should look at Cindy Taylor's rules. Without somebody there to advocate for us and our rights, people like Cindy Taylor walk right over them. Cindy Taylor, the Chapel Housing Authority and Sydney Housing Authority as well. And her boss, Nancy. It's always last minute too, isn't it? I'm down to 5% battery on this. And you get to see how they drag it off till the weekend. They show up last minute, don't listen, and tell me I have to wait till Monday. They know that they're intentionally increasing our anxiety. We are in unsafe situations, and these mandated reporters are looking the other way. And you want us, the victims, to shut up. To shut up about how we are treated. That is insane. My public pretenders. Up till the last minute, the stuff that I have to get in and turned into the court so that I can stop the abuse. And even my own public pretenders wanted to step in the way. Kind of like Claire. There's something that could have helped her, but they're literally doing the opposite, and it's making it worse for her, and they know it. Just like the Natalie Bollinger system. And that's what I'm going to have to call it from here on in, the Natalie Bollinger system. The police wouldn't do their jobs for me. My friends wouldn't go in with me to turn this shit in. What they did is drag it out. I'm supposed to turn this stuff in right away. When I turn it in right away, the police talk over me. That's why I need a friend or family member there to shut them the fuck up and get them to take it seriously. They don't take it seriously. You can hear it in their tone and how quickly they hang up. They make you do it on Monday. Meanwhile, there is a severe safety risk here because nobody ever did their jobs in the entire time that I've been here. How many weekends have I been here having to go through this? Having to worry that one of these friggin' junkies will take advantage of me. Or one of these people who wants to pretend like I might hurt them. Wants to go to the cops. They can, and I can't. I get talked over and brushed off and blown off everywhere. Claire could make the phone calls with me, but she doesn't. Her excuse is that her kids are what's important to her. Well, it's only an excuse at this point. Except that she has done much to actually get her kids back after having them stolen. She absolutely is a victim of all this. Here I am running around in circles wasting money and trying not to let my phone die. At the last minute at TCCHC, they yanked the rug out from underneath me and it fucked me. Of course, they'd yank the rug out from me every time that they sent me to therapy instead of doing their jobs as mandated reporters. What they're interested in is getting paid your government tax dollars. These therapists, that your disabled friends, you're sending your disabled friends to therapists to turn in crimes committed against them. You, any one of you, could have given me some peace and quiet and allowed me time to write what I needed to down in some peace and quiet. But instead, you stick me out here where I got sensory processing issues and anybody can victimize me whenever they want. How much you want to bet the sheriff was there at the city planning meeting? Their boys didn't call back either, did they? Except to threaten, harass, and intimidate. I got the evidence of it, and we're going to need to play that too, aren't we?
freaking autistic meltdown about it because, like, it instantly made me feel suicidal because their suggestions, instead of a hotel voucher to bridge a little bit of a gap for me, was to put the kids in foster care, go into a safe house, quit my job, so that I could go into this specific shelter. And I was just like, well, why would I do that for 2 weeks? And try to pick up all the pieces after quitting my job? Are you insane?
They are insane.
Hang on a second.
Absolutely are insane.
Anyway, I had an autistic meltdown about it, which is what I did in Tillamook, after trying to tell my story, like, in 45-minute chunks and then having, realized after 45 minutes of talking to somebody that they haven't been listening to a damn thing that I'm saying, and having that multiple times in a row and blowing away a whole day or 3 to do it, like, that it's hard to even function. It's hard to track. Like, I get so worked up about it, just thinking about it, that I lose where I'm at talking about things. But then in the office in Colorado, like, I was like, God, you're making me suicidal. I just want to drive off a cliff. You're not paying attention. And they're like, oh, you said the S word. And they called the cops, and I swear to God, like 10 of them showed up to, like, talk
I don't give
about
a shit if you're victimized.
why I'm causing a scene. And I was like, because I just wasted 4 hours of my day trying to explain something to somebody, only to have them pull the rug out from underneath me and basically prove that they weren't listening in the fucking first place, because what they responded with had nothing to do with anything that I said.
They just change the subject over and over and over again. Helping Hands is not a good place. It doesn't help the homeless. These officers not doing their jobs and telling me to do their jobs. I don't have the money to take care of myself because mandated reporters won't do their jobs. They make it their word versus mine by calling me mentally ill. Everyone knows they can do that, and everyone does that. You get to see how good people are when you tell them about things like this. If somebody brushes you off onto some resource instead of going in with you, they don't care about you, and they're not there to help. If they're going to repeatedly interrupt you to tell you that they're sorry and change the subject, they're not there to help. They don't care about you. The more they interrupt you, the less they care.
I had to go get my children from Florida myself because no agency would get back to me. I had to drive all the way to Florida and pick them up. They were covered in bugs, bruises, severely neglected. One of my dogs already died from what looks like chemical exposure, and then the second little dog was, on her last legs, losing teeth and massive patches of hair. So, I just got them back like a month ago. I'm still trying to figure out how to help them with their PTSD. I have massive PTSD. I have to make my kids the priority because they're my responsibility. I'd be more than happy to, go in with you and go in on it with you to say, yeah, these things are happening, and here's what happened to me, and here's what happened to him, and that's how it's, would have to go. But as far as just going in with you, like, I'm in Colorado, so I can't walk in, so I'm not really sure how much help I can be, and then it would also be extremely triggering for me. I'm dealing with a lot of mental damage, and like physical and emotional. So I don't know. I've tried to listen, and I've tried to tell you what I had to offer, and if what I have to offer for help is not something that you need, then I think we're at an impasse.
See, that's called dipping out. But here's the thing, is that the help that I need is the same help that she needs. She's just not helping that way. When she was here, she could have done it in person because she was here. Parents are going to make the excuse that it's okay that she did that because she's a parent. And unfortunately for me, I agree with you. Her kids are the most important thing, and what she did was for her kids. Actually, I'm going to make this a special call. I'm going to call Claire herself. We'll see if this works.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Claire Jordan
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey Claire, it's Sean Schwartz. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try to get some sort of fundraiser started for you. I know where you're at as far as the safety thing goes with Colorado. I know how bad it is there, so I really want you and your kids to be safe. And they've already been harming you enough already. I got my YouTube channel up and going. I got my phone back. I'm going back through the other phone so that I can put some of that evidence up on the internet. I haven't gone to the shelter you said to go to in Portland yet. They keep doing the same thing here that they do everywhere else. They postpone everything till the last minute, postpone it till Friday, and then Friday they want to interrupt me repeatedly to say they can't do nothing because it's Friday. You know how it works. Then we're stuck in an unsafe situation all weekend. So anyway, I've got some calls in, but I'm having to make these calls alone. It's always the same issue. You can't do it alone. It's unsafe to do it alone, and I'm having to make these calls, of course, alone. I'm having to go in alone. I'm having to try to navigate this internet stuff alone, and I'm having to try to do it in environments that are overwhelming. You're aware of that. I'm aware of that. I got to go, though.